This is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Spiritual Immersion, Taking the Plunge. And the intention of these podcasts is to support and empower you to open to who you are and to the greater wisdom of the world, greater knowing of the world, the expansiveness of who we are. They say that our physical being is like 1% of our whole being. That means there's a lot of us that are living in an energetic field that we can't see, but we sense and we know, most of us or some of us. In a sense, we have emotions that are not physical, but we experience them, and other such things. So opening up to the experience of that in terms of giving up denying that is part of the spiritual emergence and immersion process. Now, I just mentioned the word emergence. And what that means is sometimes the body or the spirit is beginning to activate in such a way that rather than you being at choice about how you immerse yourself into this spiritual practice and spiritual evolution, something bigger or greater than you begins to happen. Sometimes it's a chakra thing or kundalini thing or something else that is taking place in you that becomes the catalyst for a spiritual emergence process. It gets you started in a big way. Some people have what's called a transformational, spiritually transformative experience. That's what I'm trying to say. Spiritually transformative experiences. And that can be a near-death experience or an out-of-body experience, dreams, all kinds of experiences that are non-ordinary states of being that take us into a realm or a dimension or a reality that is not part of our consensus view of reality. Now, I've had probably thousands of spiritually transformative experiences, little tiny day-to-day indications of things, or even a little bit bigger than that, but been interesting, like, well, that's not normal, kind of synchronicity elements. So they can be very simple to callings. A calling is this experience of divine intention or inspiration to follow something or go in a specific direction or do something that is, again, out of the ordinary. And that can be a spiritually transformative experience. So there's all kinds of spiritually transformative experiences. If you're interested in knowing more, there's an organization called the American Center for the Integration of Spiritually Transformative Experiences. And the acronym, the website is ACISTE.com. ACISTE.com. Now, I've been working with Assist for a very long time. I've facilitated coaching trainings with them, and I am a practitioner working with people who have had spiritually transformative experiences and need some support and integration. That's what Assist is there for. And they have all kinds of great information there about experiences that are out of the ordinary. If you're interested, check it out. So this brings me to what I want to share with you today. A young fellow here on Orcas texted me last week actually and said, Rosie, I'm in trouble. I need some help. And I wasn't sure who it was, and I didn't get back to him because I thought maybe it's a spam. I didn't know who it was. But he called me back and said, Rosie, I'm having a real hard time here, and I need some help. Can I see you? And he says, I think I've been possessed. Somebody from Southern California was here, and they, I think they left something on me. And I'm really uncomfortable, and I'm agitated. It's awful. Now, this fellow had spiritually transformative experiences. He's quite adept at spiritual phenomena, we'll say. And this particular one of feeling possessed was something that, it's like, I don't know about you, but I know I've had that experience of being possessed, of having Klingons or these discarnates or beings that are hanging on to me and making a difference in my life. They're influencing me. So this young fellow, we'll call him Harry, said, I really need help. I just, I can't, I'm at the end of my rope here. So I don't do depossessions. I don't do the clearing work, that kind of stuff. So I referred him to my friend Elizabeth Sabet, Sabet. You can find her on Google. And she's phenomenal in being able to support people in clearing energies and clearing people off people, and even dead. Let's see, another friend of mine who died, part of her death was that she had been possessed by somebody who blah, blah, blah. There's too much of this story. But so Elizabeth was able to help that person, even though they had crossed over. She was able to clear both the discarnate spirit, and she was also able to clear my friend. So she was clear of that energy. So Harry needed some help, and so I referred him to Elizabeth. And he got some really, really wonderful results, and we'll continue to work with Elizabeth. So, sorry about the plane going over. So this is something that's part of our everyday life that we in the Western world don't consider normal. My young grandson was telling his mom he's really afraid of ghosts. And I haven't had an opportunity to talk with him or to talk with her and say, hey, let's talk about this in a way that might be helpful for him. Because the fact of the matter is that there are, when we die, we have an opportunity to go to the light. But a lot of people don't. They choose to stick around because either they're too attached to people they're leaving behind, or they're attached to their stuff, or they didn't organize things. They weren't prepared for their death. Quite often in battlefields, or perhaps like on 9/11, where thousands of people were killed, earthquakes, those kinds of things. There's a lot of people who were not prepared to die, and so when they are crossed over, when they've died, they've lost their bodies, they're still very confused about what's happening and where they need to go and what to do. So there's lots and lots of beings on the other side that we can't see, but influence our lives. And I know a lot of people who've had little incidences around their house. I've had incidences around my house where all of a sudden in the middle of the night, books and everything will fall off the shelf, just one area of the shelf. Interesting things. So when we have these beings around us, we call them ghosts, or there's poltergeists, there's all kinds of energies, but rarely are they meant to be demon-like. They're mostly just people don't know what to do, or they're just have an agenda, which is somehow to have their old life back or find some comfort or something. So the reason I bring this up is because for me, going through my spiritual immersion process, as I still am, there's times where if I'd been around people or in an environment, and I leave that environment and I feel different, I am pretty sure that I've picked something up. It's like picking up a cold or a virus, right? It's just that simple sometimes to pick up viruses or pick up entities or beings and disturbances. It's not difficult, but quite often we're not aware of it. I started using a pendulum and a clearing practice to clear myself to the degree I can, and that has created so much comfort for me. Let's say what I found was I'll clear myself in the morning, and then quite often around 4 o'clock or so, I would start to feel weird. And so I began to clear myself. I feel weird. And I'd clear myself, do a clearing process, and I would feel normal again. So these little beings or energies can influence us on levels we're not even aware of. They can influence us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. They can cause us to be grabbing for food or alcohol or addiction-based practices. They can influence how symptoms, physical symptoms, health issues. So there's all kinds of influences from the other side, and if you're aware of them And a lot of people go, oh, it can't be that. That's really stupid. But more and more and more, there are practitioners who are in the business of helping us clear these energies, clear these entities, clear these possessions, and so that we're not influenced and we are sovereign, independent beings. Our sovereignty is, in a sense, our birthright. Our sovereignty of being is ours. And when these influencers come in from the other side, we lose our sovereignty. We lose our abilities to be empowered and make choices on our own. We're influenced by this thing that we don't even know we're influenced by. And it can, in the worst case scenarios, like my friend, it can cause death. And so it's just something to think about. And especially, again, I really believe that when people get physically ill, whether it's cancer or heart disease, liver disease, or whatever it is, that it could be it's always energetic of some sort, but it could be energetic elements that we can depossess ourselves of, or get support from people who depossess people. Shamanic practitioners is another great resource. That's what they do quite often, is do the depossessions as well as soul retrieval, those kinds of things. So as part of this spiritual immersion process, we need to, I believe we need to, I know I needed to expand my capacities to take in the truth about the reality of the world, and that we're not this physical being alone, but that we have these energetic elements and elementals around us all the time. The positive ones, angels, fairies. I believe in fairies. Haven't seen them, but I can feel them. So with positive energies, positive guides and stewards, and then we've got some that are not so positive and not here to support and help us. And one more thing that I want to mention is, when we think of somebody dies, we think they go to sort of a higher realm and that they're now sort of an enlightened being. And more, the evidence and what people have experienced is they're just the same. They're just without bodies. So if you're talking to your sister who crossed over, she's just your sister. She just doesn't have a body anymore. She's not necessarily any more wise than she was when she left. She's just without a body. So sometimes when we're talking to people we know, we expect them to have some sort of wisdom. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they may just tell you what they would have told you had they been alive. It's fascinating, really fascinating. So again, if you're having issues that you might consider that you've got some Klingons or uninvited guests into your sovereign being, I would encourage you to talk to either if your health practitioner is not a good source for that, I would talk to Elizabeth Sabat or Assist, or shamanic practitioners or energy workers. There's all kinds of people that do this kind of work. And the most important thing is to bring you back into your sovereignty. All right, big hugs. Bye for now.